Communication, it's so powerful because it allows us to build a bridge so we're all on the same level playing field.
Without communication, everybody else is left in guessing mode.
Yes, it's like the key that starts everything in motion.
Use this question: how can I support you? Welcome to the Wellness Education Network. Whether you're a mental health professional, a student, or someone eager to improve their own mental health, we definitely have something for you. This is the Wellness Education Network.
The Wellness Education Network, brought to you by Wellness Productions Canada, provides general information and discussions about wellness-related topics. The content provided is not intended and should not be construed as professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have read or heard from the Wellness Education Network and Wellness Productions Canada.
Welcome to another episode of the Wellness Education Network. I am one of your hosts, Gene Andrews, and I am so happy to be here with Coach Michael. We are very happy to have him here to do a roundtable discussion about supporting people with mental health. How are you today?
I am fantastic, Jamie. Thank you for asking.
And this is a very interesting topic, as it's something that I really believe that we need to talk about. It serves people struggling with mental health and educates the people around those struggling with mental health.
When somebody's struggling with mental health, it affects the whole family, it affects the whole community. We need support from people around us to help us heal and to help us recover. That's what this discussion is all about, how we can support our loved ones struggling with mental health issues. It's an absolutely important discussion to have.
I agree, because I think that both sides need to be served. One side doesn't really understand the other. One of the best places to start is with the person who is struggling with mental health. What is some of the best ways that you can think of for them to get to receive the support they're looking for?
Yeah. I'm going to push back a little and say maybe it doesn't start with a person who's struggling, because sometimes when we are struggling, we know we're overwhelmed, but we don't really see the extent of it. Sometimes the family can step in or are able to say, Michael here is really struggling. Whoever sees something first starts to communicate. Communication, it's so powerful because it allows us to build a bridge so we're all on the same level playing field. I think whoever sees signs or symptoms of mental health issues should speak up and say, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is communication is probably the most important thing. It can start from one side or the other. Whoever recognizes the issues first, right?
Maybe it's not the most important, but it is foundational. It's the key that starts the engine moving. We need all the parts of the engine to make it work. None are more important, but we need all of them to be working. It's like a circle. Take out any piece and it's not a circle.
Without communication, everybody else is left in guessing mode.
It's like the key that starts everything in motion. And a lot of times with communication, we struggle with it because when we see somebody in pain, we feel uncomfortable. So we don't want to intrude. We want to respect their privacy. And the other person hurting is craving connection. There's a lot of things that we can do effectively to communicate. And there's a lot of things we can do that are very unsupportive in how we communicate. What are your thoughts?
Feelings are not seen.
Mm-hmm.
So if my feelings are imbalanced at that time, my depression is rising, my best indicator is to communicate to other people that this is going on. I'm feeling this way and I need A, B, and C. And they know why I'm in my room for 2 days. If I'm in there longer, they can check in on. It's learning with that communication and knowing myself that this is happening and I need to back away for about 2 days, rest, relax, and get back to my original self. It's a lot of self-care within those 2 days when my depression is on the rise.
What were some unsupportive or ineffective ways people communicated with you?
Passive aggressive communication is what I received a lot. Those were very ineffective ways of communicating what they expected to me. And to be honest, there was no communication of what was expected of me after my first meetup
Yeah.
back in 2007 or 8.
Mm.
No communication is never good. I had no idea what to do except for, if I take this medication and I see the doctor, I should get better. That's the sign.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. In my journey, I had some people that were intent on fixing me. They go, you need to do this and then everything will be all right. But you're not even listening to me. Then I had other people, for example, a family member. They came up to me and I'm in a bad mood and they said, did you take your medicine last night? And it's just as if, is that the problem? You were being a complete jerk to me. And now I'm upset at the way you were behaving. And now you're telling me that the reason I'm upset is because I didn't take my medication, which is passive aggressive. And then I had other people that were just very good who just listened to me. And what I have learned now is that fixing people is not something that's a healthy thing to do. Obviously, we can't fix people. They're not a problem to be solved. Instead, I've learned to listen to people. I talk to people. I ask questions. And I start with, how can I support you? When somebody's struggling and somebody's hurting, they know what they need. It may not be what you want to give them or what you think they need. The biggest part of supporting somebody with mental illness is meeting them where they are at. And when we allow them to express what they need, we're validating them, making them feel listened. We are creating a bridge. We are connecting with them. And we're saying what you are thinking and feeling is valid. And I want to support you because you matter to me. And I think it's very important, especially in relationships that we're close to. The people and things we value, we will treat them as valuable. So it's important for them to be validated.
Yeah. Let's talk about this concept of meeting people where they're at. The expectation is, this is a grown adult and they are not getting out of bed or out of the house. This is not the adult that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being able to understand meeting somebody where they're currently at really helps in the communication process. So what does it mean to meet somebody where they're at?
Most people are going to be making the best choices that they have available to them. It may not be choices we agree with, and that's all right. If somebody is feeling absolutely overwhelmed, if we were able to put ourselves in that situation, what does it feel like to be absolutely overwhelmed, where we're scared, we're frightened, we feel vulnerable, and all of those things? We're not going to be living a happy, joyous life. Trying to make people live a happy, joyous life is not fair. Telling somebody to turn that frown upside down is not going to make them in a better mood.
Mhm.
If somebody is feeling sad, a lot of pain, afraid, or vulnerable, you know, don't try to fix them. I know what it's like to feel like that. The stories can be different, but pain is pain. When we connect with people on their level of feelings, we learn to identify with those feelings. Then we can say, when I was in this situation, what would have been most supportive towards me? Sometimes it's giving a hug. Sometimes listening. Some people don't want to be hugged, and we have to respect that. You know, it's allowing people to know, if this is where you're at right now, if you want to stay in bed for a couple of days, for a couple of weeks, or whatever, I will support you. I might not enable you, but I will support you. It can be a challenging distinction, finding the difference between supporting somebody and enabling them. It's natural to make mistakes there, and that's okay. Once we know better, let's try to do better. Be supportive and encouraging and allow people to say, okay, I understand where you're at. What can I do to support you through this? And allow them to share what's on their heart and mind.
It sounds like it's giving them a supportive space to feel what they need to feel, but at the same time, communicate what they need to communicate.
Mhm.
As I became a better communicator in regards to my mental health, I had to learn to accept my depression. I don't like it, but I do need to talk about it.
Mhm.
It's not my identity. I can be in control of my life
Mhm.
while having depression.
The biggest part of effective and healthy communication is we have to allow people to feel safe. If I don't feel safe, I'm not going to communicate at anything more than at a very superficial level. The people that I trust more, they get to see a deeper side of who I am because they've shown me that they respect me, love me, value me, and they value my safety. As men, we struggle with being able to communicate. I have a statistic from Statistics Canada. It says 49% of men feel more depressed than they will ever admit to others. And it also goes on to say that 40% of men won't talk to anyone. I think a lot of times that is because we often don't feel safe enough to express what's really going on. We have this cultural conditioning that men are supposed to be strong, and strong means absolutely rigid and unyielding. Personally, I would like to challenge that stigma that being strong is not about being rigid. It's not like being like a oak tree that won't bend, because in a hurricane, the trees will snap and break, but the grasses that bend flat always pop back up in a couple of days. So strength isn't in how rigid we are. Our strength should be found in our flexibility, authenticity. In order for us to become authentic, it takes a lot of nurturing, and nurturing only happens in a safe place.
Hi, friends. Thanks for indulging us in a moment of self promotion. I wanted to take this time to let you know that the Wellness Education Network is created, produced, and inspired by people who have been touched personally by the effects of mental health. Even the music for our show, which was composed by M. Jukes. So if you're enjoying this content, we really need your help. We're just getting started, and we're excited to create new wellness education content for you. But what we need from you is we need you to like it. We need you to hit the download button. We need you to comment and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us, and we're extremely passionate about wellness education. So if you're feeling extra generous, consider buying us a cup of coffee to help us out. This will help us continue to create the wellness education content that you like so much. You'll find the link for that in the description. And from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for being our friends.
How do we bring this back to supportive communication?
I think when we can have these conversations with people and learning to support them, I think there is so much wisdom in that. When we can acknowledge that what I do know pales in comparison to what I don't know. If somebody that I love is struggling with mental health, ask them questions, get them to explain to us. I think that's where the education starts. Getting the person we love who is struggling to teach us what it's like. We have to be open to that.
I completely agree. The mental health community, the people struggling or have struggled, need to communicate, start within themselves, is with the safest space possible where you know you're not going to lose that person. That's where you start. You try to open dialogue because people around you just know something's not right with this person. Being able to communicate helps them. It does you and them a service, but some kind of dialogue so that the person who's unwell understands that they're still an important functioning part of that community, family, and their life is extremely important.
Yeah. And I think as well, if we heard that somebody within our family, within our community was sick, you know, we might reach out to that person one time or a couple times. We know that person is struggling. We're going to initially make contact to show support. On an ongoing basis, we might say, hey, just thought I'd check in with you. It's very important to do that with those who are struggling with a mental health illness as well. If you hear somebody is struggling with depression or anxiety or trauma, reach out to them, and that might boost them for a couple hours, couple days, because it's easy for those struggling with mental illness to feel abandoned. Even though those feelings may not be factual, a lot of times we live within those feelings. When people reach out to say hi, thinking about you, got your back, want to go out for a movie, want to grab a pizza, want to grab a coffee. Those little gestures mean the world. If the person you're reaching out to is still stuck in their bedroom or apartment and they're not able to come out, that's all right. That gesture means the world. And those are the things that will build them up. They will eventually say, you know what? Yeah, I do want to go out for coffee. I have enough people supporting me to understand I am struggling.
As we wrap up, some things I want to point out that were important is one, just communication on both ends. The person struggling with mental health needs to talk in a supportive space. And that's because being able to communicate your thoughts and feelings. Two, the community and people and loved ones and support system around you don't have access to your thoughts and feelings. Without that communication from that person who's unwell at that moment in time, going through the mental health mud, other people are guessing. And when they start guessing, they will end up in frustration because they will be guessing incorrectly. Without that communication from that person who's unwell, the other people don't know what to do. But having an open dialogue, especially when it's implemented or initiated from that person, they don't necessarily have to start it, but they have to talk about it. They can't shut the other person out. It's just not going to work. And for that other person on the outside to poke and prod at appropriate times and say, listen, I care. I know you're not doing well. I'm here with you. We need to talk. You need to know. What are some ways we would point out as we wrap up?
It's very easy for those on the outside to judge. Judgment is the foundation of the vast majority, if not all, of stigma, regardless of what the stigma is about. When it's about mental illness, it's a foundation. It's very natural and normal to judge. By nature, I am a very judgmental person myself. When I started to realize that, I learned I wasn't comfortable with it. So I had to challenge it. What I learned to do is, because this is an expression I use in my coaching practice all the time with all my clients. You have the power to be the person you want to be. Who do I want to be? I want to be a compassionate person. When I'd catch myself being judgmental, I would challenge it. Like, who do you want to be? So it allows me to hold myself accountable. I started saying, I want to be a compassionate person because I can't be compassionate and judgmental at the same time. It doesn't work. You know, I want to be compassionate, understanding, caring, empathetic. When we start judging, whether it's ourselves, somebody struggling with mental illness, or we see somebody trying to be supportive and we're trying to figure out their motivations, it doesn't matter where we are in the equation. When we can start saying, where is my compassion? It allows us to be more open to giving and receiving support.
I want to point out for anyone who's on the outside of that person who's struggling with the mental health mud, One of the most powerful questions, and Coach Mike, you brought this out. I use this all the time. Use this question, how can I support you? Because it removes all expectation from you, especially if you're a family member and you see this person be very productive and well, and now unwell, you have an expectation of who they were at that moment in time. It doesn't mean they're gone. It means their mental health struggle is taking a severe hit. So being able to ask that question, how can I support you during this tough time? And get them to answer you. How can I support you? Do you need support today? And if the answer is, I just need to be left alone, then that's what they need. For me, I give a lot. So when I'm in a mental health mud, last 1 or 2 days, I can't give anymore. I don't want to hear any more requests. I just need to be left alone. You can say, I'll leave you alone today, but I'll check in with you tomorrow to let you know I still care. I still want to support you, but I need you to guide me along this journey with you. This is a new path for me as your support person.
And another reason why I believe that question, how may I support you, is so powerful. It's coming from compassion, not judgment, which we just talked about. It's powerful in the sense that we are respecting boundaries.
Yes.
When we see somebody struggling, we want to fix them. Coming from a perspective of fixing them, that is such an arrogant perspective, because it means I am so good and so way up here in life that I have the power to come into your life and just make everything better. That is so arrogant. When we can talk to the person who is struggling with a mental illness as if they are an equal, which they are. They're no better than us. They're no worse than us. They are an equal because we have all struggled. You know, it allows us to treat them with the respect, dignity, and autonomy they deserve.
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful thing when we are hurting, with someone to treat us with the respect that we deserve, because those we value, we will treat them as if they're valuable. You know, we are showing that person that I love you, I care about you, you're important to me, I value you. What can I do to support you?
Yeah. We're in this together.
Exactly.
As someone who's gotten that question, it is the best question for all of the reasons we stated. So
yeah,
I just want to take this time to say thanks, Coach, for coming by.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's always a joy. These are topics we're passionate about, close to our hearts.
If you want to catch Coach Michael, you can catch him at alignmentcoaching.ca.
We'll have the links in the description for you to follow up with. And we appreciate you. And honestly, if anyone is struggling, you have value. You're in the mental health mud. You may not know it. You just need to learn the educational piece. If you can find mental health services within your area, you can find recovery college wellness centers. If you can look into people that do cognitive behavioral therapy, if you can look into people that do dialectical behavioral therapy, find these resources, because when you find them and you get people to show you how they work, it's a game changer. It puts you in the driver's seat for 90% of your life. You'll find out how wonderful you are. If today you feel like today is your last day, then call 988 or the regional equivalent.
Coach Mike, thank you so much.
And remember, everybody, you have the power to be the person you want to be. Embrace that person.
And thanks, everybody, for being our friends. And thanks for being awesome. Thank you for joining us on the Wellness Education Network. This podcast is brought to you by Wellness Productions Canada. We want to acknowledge that everyone involved in this project, including the music, which was composed by Mike Jukes, has been touched by the effects of mental health. This series is dedicated to promoting mental health education and awareness. To find out more, please check out our website at wellnessproductionscanada.ca or check out our YouTube channel at Wellness Education Network. Otherwise, stay tuned and thanks for being awesome.